quickly want to run through how you can calculate the cost of a run for a clay table for a specific prompt with a specific model. And there's actually two ways or two kinds of calculation here. So this is a very practical example. It has about 1,000 rows, and I'm using 3 columns that use AI. This is, of course, after all the experimentation where I used many more columns, but these are basically the columns that will incur API cost to Anthropic in this case. So because the first column is a Claygent, which is like a specific way to use AI, here's what you do. You take an example result that's important, and then here on the right side, total tokens used, which is a mix of input and output tokens. And I see the total cost to AI provider. In this case, it's a little more than a tenth of a cent. That's easy to do. And then you just multiply that by the number of rows. What's involving a few more steps, and actually I want to map this out because it's one of the beautiful things about Clay, that like with everything you do, you get these properties that you can then get creative on and use further. And I want to map out that cost as a column. That is, yeah, let's just leave it at the standard name. That will pop up somewhere. Okay, let me leave it there for a moment. Here with the two, I would say, more regular AI runs, which is just doing some AI stuff on some data that is in the column. I click on it, and here you have input and output tokens. So let's map that out. We have input tokens. We have output tokens. That will be very different when you create messaging. So for me, I use it for data analysis. The output tokens are more expensive, and for writing copy and basically generating language, you also need a higher end model, which makes it even more expensive because you need more output tokens. All the output tokens I need is here this cleaned up value. And the same I do for the other um, column, map out, map out. So, and the next thing I do again is pretty simple. So let's take the input tokens of the first column first, and this is about 25 rows. So here I copy the input tokens, and I've created let me move that back. That was unexpected. And I've created so let me copy that again. Okay, neat. I've created a cost calculator, which I will show in a second how I put that together. But let's say here go the input tokens, about 244, and then there is more input tokens that I will take from here, copy and paste, and then I basically just super simple 12,248 input tokens, and then the sum of the output tokens I'm using. Again, this is for 25 rows. Output tokens, so first one here, then bear with me, it's worth it. Output tokens, or maybe not, I don't know, but I want to know what my model runs cost. So we now have the accumulated input and output tokens. 25 of my rows in this workflow will cost, plus additionally the combined cost that is already calculated here. I would say because somebody needs to maintain those, I do not know, this is just me talking, but I really would want to double verify this number, but let's just run with it. This is just something we will we will multiply by the number of rows, and then we're good. But like regularly, you look it up with input and output tokens, and I have a sum here too that will be obviously much less, 711. And the calculation is that for these 25 rows, these two AI columns will cost the 3/10 of a cent. That's not a calculation mistake. 3/10 of a cent. That's how cheap the cheapest Haiku, the cheapest Anthropic model is. And you see the factor over Haiku. I don't know, that calculates the wrong way for some reason. That's not the factor over Haiku. So let's ignore that. But the factor over Haiku is Sonnet is 12 times more expensive, Opus is 60 times more expensive. And I have multiple runs, so these 3/10 of a cent are for 25 rows. So what I want to do is take this value and times 4, so I get to 100, and then it's 900 rows. Let's make it an even 1000, so times 10. So the cost for running these two columns on 1000 rows will be 15 cents. I have to add to that the other value that I mentioned here, but I think it becomes, let's maybe just do that for the sake of completeness. I will just put that here, and that is not even fully registering. So, okay, that's, okay, we have to add 10 cents. So that would be 25 cents. Yeah, 25 cents. Super cheap, and makes all the difference to use a cheap model. The way you get to these numbers, and I want to delete all of this, is also really simple. Let me put that back to 1 million. 1 million. So you get these numbers when you Google API cost OpenAI, API cost Anthropic, API cost Meta, or not Meta, Llama. And here you get the input and output tokens per million token, and you get the output token stand or the cost per model, and that's what you put here. So 25 cents for 1 million token for the simple model. These are the 25 cents, 1 million token. The same goes here, then a little bit calculation, and that's it. Then you have your model calculator. Super simple.